Hello, everyone. And it's only Monday, guys. Can you believe it? So anyways, welcome to this week's Society Expert Training. I'm super excited to introduce you to the gentleman that's going to be doing our training tonight because he is amazing, like super dope. But before we jump into that, I want to welcome you all to tonight's training. I want to say thank you all for spending your Monday evenings with us. And remember, every single Monday we meet here for your Elite Society training. Either it will be a training that's uploaded into your portal, it'll be a Q&A with myself or Tashanta, or we'll have an expert. And tonight we have an expert. So, and if you cannot make it live, don't forget your trainings, your recordings, all the goods will always be uploaded inside your society portal. And if you have any issues getting to anything, use the private group, hashtag help, hashtag question, whatever you need, let us know what you need and we'll jump in to help you as usual. So don't worry about it. No stress. We're here to serve you. So tonight we are going to be talking about the cash flow quadrant from the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. And our expert training.
Oh, there we go. That was it.
And then okay, hold on. I got to mute Miss Bernice. Okay, there we go. Tonight's training will be delivered by no other than Mr. Timothy Simpson. He is a serial entrepreneur who has owned and operated 11 businesses, probably over 11 businesses in 6 different industries to include 2 commercial cleaning franchises, 2 tire shops, 2 restaurants, a digital marketing firm, a restaurant cleaning company, a lawn care service, an online loan processing company, and a large floor care company with several Fortune 500 clients. He also recently evolved into the as a business startup coach and consultant to help new and aspiring entrepreneurs in their entrepreneurial journeys. As a business strategist, he also helps existing businesses build 6-figure businesses. How dope is that? He has also created a series of youth development programs, hence one of the reasons he's here, with an emphasis on leadership, financial literacy, personal development, and entrepreneurship to help save the youth from a life of crime, discrimination, rejection, death, and even prison. Amazing. So without further ado, I am going to introduce you to Mr. Timothy Simpson.
Thank you. How's everybody doing? I know y'all are probably muted, so I'm going to assume everyone is doing great on this Monday. All right. I'm going to just mention maybe a few things that I left off my bio, but it's probably going to be important for the youth or even some of the adults listening to understand. I do believe in education, so I'll add that I did graduate high school, and then I went on to college. Like my first year, I actually attended Benedict College, which is a HBCU here in Columbia, South Carolina. And then I transferred to the University of South Carolina because originally I was going to school to become a lawyer and a sports agent. All right. So I went to school at the University of South Carolina 4 years. I actually was a political science major. And then my minor was sport and entertainment management. All right. The whole time I basically was running businesses. So that's when I became the youngest, Janet King, which is the commercial cleaning franchise that I own. I became the youngest franchisee, basically probably in history for them, because I was 22, which was the legal age based on the government, their government restrictions that you can buy a franchise. So I bought my first one at 22, and then I bought my second one at 25, which in the state I bought it in, I probably was their youngest in that state also. I've also owned my first 2 restaurants before I was 25. I had my first one at 22 and my second one at 25. The first one was actually a dessert and deli bar, in which we did really well. It was said that we put the local checkers out of business. Not, I don't know how true that is, but it sounds good. And I'm not a cook, by the way. I can't cook a lick even to this day. Like I can, probably burn up some turkey bacon, maybe put something in the oven. I don't use the microwave. But I'm not a great cook. But I've owned 2 restaurants off of sheer optimism and just being optimistic and ambitious. All right. We did with my first restaurant, since we had a really high DHEC score, we had a 97 rating. We actually had a tie for the golden spatula. All right. Like I said, I can't cook though. All right, my second restaurant was actually in Greenwood, South Carolina, home of the legendary Benjamin E. Mays, who is a great leader who inspired Dr. Martin Luther King. So it's a lot of history just right here in South Carolina. My second restaurant was a wings joint. It was called T's Wings. And I specialized in 21 different flavors. However, I never had to make all 21, luckily, because it was more of a marketing ploy. So if somebody would have ordered like one of the flavors, I would have just had to make it on site totally from scratch. Most people mainly order like the top 3 or 4 that, everybody orders, if they eat chicken anywhere else. And then my digital marketing company actually was in the University of South Carolina Business Incubator. I actually was able to sell that business to one of my partners with my tire shop, in which I bought my first tire shop actually 4 years ago off of Craigslist, surprisingly. It was already a 6-figure business. I didn't have any prior experience. I pretty much had to learn hands-on. Like I learned the equipment, became the hardest worker in my own business. And then I opened my second shop actually just last year. I sold my first shop actually February this year. All right. Now, what I tell a lot of people is I dispel a lot of business myths, and like just say some of the more popular ones are that you have to have money to get in business. Now, I was starting businesses as early as 8, so I was a kidpreneur. I had my first 3 businesses by 13, so that made me a serial entrepreneur. I had my first business at 8, my second one at 10, in which I was actually living in Bussbach, Germany. I was there when the Berlin Wall came down. And then my third business I had at 12, which was a lawn care service. And then from age 19, I actually started a community-based nonprofit organization called YA4C, which stood for Young Adults for Change. So I basically was kind of aligning with a lot of political and social issues, even as early as a teenager. And I cared about, restoring unity within the community, community development, and Black empowerment and just empowerment in general. But, I came from a Black community. I'm Black. And then from age 19 to like just say 33, I actually started a series of other businesses, which, kind of spans to 11 that I give credit for. But I also had like a few online ventures. I had at one point about 50 different domains. I had a lot going on. Like I'm really strategic, and I believe in strategic relationships, strategic partnerships. I believe in multiple streams of income. I believe in entrepreneurship. Now, I like the quote that Henry Ford said. He said, "A formal education will earn you a living. Self-education will earn you a fortune." So just say in school, I didn't really apply myself because to me, school was kind of slow, like whether it was middle school, high school, or grade school. So just say on average, I was a C student because I didn't apply myself. And then I also was playing sports. I was also working a job. So I had my first official job at age 14. It was at Dairy Queen's. And I was really excited, couldn't wait to work because I understood that money would mean I had more options. All right. Now, I grew up doing chores. I give my parents, I had 2 dads. Actually, I had a rich dad and a poor dad, and I'll get into that. I had 2 dads and a mom. My stepdad, who was one of the biggest influences in my life. He married my mom when I was 2. It was me and an older sister. So he had 2 stepchildren and then 2 biological kids. He was a military man, disciplinary, really smart. And he basically taught me a whole lot. And like I said, I give him a lot of credit. Like we grew up doing chores. So before I was 8 years old, I could iron. I could wash dishes, I can cut grass, I could rake. I know how to clean a refrigerator. I know how to grocery shop, make a list. Like home economics was taught in my household, and it's helped me as an adult. So I'm a really big firm believer in, kids doing chores early, because what it does is it builds character, it builds discipline, it builds personal responsibility. Like it's intangibles that you cannot, you can't learn in school unless they're teaching home economics from a care standpoint. So my rich dad, poor dad story. First of all, I would like to know how many people actually read the book. And Mr. Mary, you can help me with that. Like, Are there any people online now that actually read the book? I did. Okay. I see somebody said I did. All right. Good deal. All right. Now, my rich dad, poor dad story, I'm just keep it real short. My poor dad, which poor, I don't look at it as a negative thing. It's more of a condition. And we'll just say it stems from lack of financial literacy, maybe lack of knowing about entrepreneurship. So just say my poor dad would have been my dad who was in the military. All right. Because most people know the military doesn't pay that great. You know, they have probably good benefits, but just overall salary wise, they didn't pay that much. So just say from my poor dad, just like Robert Kiyosaki, from my poor dad, I learned character, I learned morals, I learned discipline, I learned ethics. Like I learned the things that that makes you solid, makes you a solid human being with high moral compasses. All right. So I learned, the really, really important things from my stepfather. All right. Like I said, he was a great father. He passed, in early mid 2000s. But his impact on me basically made me into the person that I am now. My mom, I'm going to add her into the rich dad, poor dad, even though he talks about his two dads. My mom was a really big influence, my best friend, big sister, mom, everything. She actually was an entrepreneur, but I didn't know it till years later. But she actually ran because I didn't know the term. I was just engaging in entrepreneurship without even knowing the term. I didn't have an actual mentor. It was ambition. Hey, I wanted to make money. I wanted to do things. So I just got out there and did it. And just say, even with that, I had my first layaway at age 10. So I knew about layaways. And that's probably a result of having a poor dad is because I just say you deal with poor issues. You deal with layaways. You deal with payday loans. So I knew about those things at an early age. You learn about repossession. You learn about high interest rates. Like you learn about a lot by default. So, but I turned a minus into a plus. All right. And like I said, my mom, she had a home daycare for years. So she actually was an entrepreneur. So I actually grew up taking care of kids. That's why my second business at 10 was actually a babysitting business, because we had to serve meals in my mom's daycare. We had to read the lesson plans. We had to burp kids. I grew up changing diapers, like the whole nine. So before I was 10, I could pretty much do most of what adults do. When I got paid, I would buy things that made sense. All right. My mom had 4 kids, and it was 2 adults. So we was a family of 6 living off of military income and daycare, in-home daycare. So I would buy 3 things: milk, bologna, and bread. So even as a 10-year-old, I was conscious enough to see that, hey, the family needs some type of financial support. So instead of buying candy and toys, I actually bought things that I felt the family could benefit overall. So I bought milk, bologna, and bread at the time. And then my rich father is actually, he's a successful district circuit judge. So he actually followed his passion. He chose, the dream route versus, family oriented and, just kind of settling for, I ain't gonna say mediocrity, because like my stepdad, he chose to be in the military. Like he could have been an engineer really easy, like really bright guy. He was an electrician in the Army, so he could have easily been an engineer or had his own electrician company had he, had different type of mentors. So I just say what I learned from my rich father was, I learned about interest rates because I actually asked him at 18 to co-sign for I want to say a 98 Jeep Cherokee, and I didn't know anything about credit, and I asked him to co-sign. He was like, no, out of the question. But I didn't know anything about credit at the time. I also learned that, if you want to be different, you have to act different. So that means you can't run with the pack. Lions run with lions, monkeys run with monkeys. So if you want to be a different caliber person, you have to surround yourself by different caliber people. All right. So do we have any questions before I get into the actual lesson plan? And I'm going to start with the first quadrant, which is the employee quadrant. Now I'm going to cover the material pretty quick because I usually just give the meat and potatoes. I don't like to kind of string things along. So it won't be any sides. We'll say the sides would be any questions that anyone asks. I'll just, interactively answer them. But if not, I'll just cover the material. All right. I think Tamara said no questions yet. All right. So the first quadrant in the Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant is the employee. All right. It's the employee box. Now, what makes employees is that they basically trade labor for wages. Real simple. They trade labor for wages, meaning I'm selling my time. Now, Les Brown has in one of his videos, he talks about what did you sell your soul to the company store for? I actually translate soul into energy. All right. So your soul is your energy. So if you're selling your soul to the company store, then that means, okay, if you're getting $10 an hour, you sold your soul to the company store for $10 because your soul is your energy. So you're selling your time and energy for a dollar amount. Now, as an employee, the most that I've made was I left off making $15 an hour. I worked at Walmart Distribution Center, and I worked the weekend shift while I was in college. And like I said, I was left off at age 19 making $15 an hour. So it's disheartening and unbelievable to see that people still get excited about a 25-cent raise or a 50-cent raise or even a dollar raise, because as an entrepreneur, I've made as much as $10,000 in a day. I've made $1,200 a day consistently with certain businesses. I've made $400 to $600 in some businesses on autopilot, not doing anything. I've also helped other people make ridiculous money. So, and then even when you talk about raises, I've given myself a $500 to $5,000 a month raise versus waiting like a whole year or 6 months for a 25-cent raise. So when I hear people say things like that, to me, the first phrase that pops up is slave mentality. It's like we have to elevate our thinking. All right. So, and just that phrase is almost like scratching a chalkboard. It's like, no, 25-cent an hour raise. Like, just think. I mean, you can sell water and make a whole dollar. So 25 cents is to me is insane. A dollar is insane. I think we have, like Les Brown said, most people don't fail in life because they aim high and miss. He said they fail because they aim low and hit. So if you're aiming low, like, hey, look, I want to make even $25 an hour. It's like, okay, you might actually be worth $100 to $200 an hour, or just say infinite amount, and you just go out there and make things happen. And then whatever you make is like, okay, because it's like, who could really compensate you for your time? Like if somebody was to ask me, well, what's your value? You can put enough zeros behind any number and say, all right, this is your value. Like I'm worth infinite. But you can make a friendly gesture and I might, accept or decline. But as far as somebody actually paying me for my value, is off the charts, or I couldn't give you a number. All right. Any questions? Any questions on the first quadrant before I move on to the second one? Any questions about employee mindsets? Okay, good deal. All right. So the next. All right. So just say if you're looking at it in terms of levels or steps, because there is levels in entrepreneurship. There's levels in life. There's levels in classes. There's levels just in general. So, all right, the next level would be self-employed. All right. And how I tell people to understand self-employed, just flip the word backwards. Employ self, right? So self-employed, you employ yourself. So that's better than a job, but it's just the next level on the cash flow quadrant. All right. Now, when I explain to people, what does it mean to be self-employed? All right. Self-employed is basically you create a job for yourself. So I expand the definition of what an entrepreneur is. So I just say some people think an entrepreneur is, hey, you got a business, suit and tie, you got a building. All right. If you let kids or parents think that, all right, this is the standard for what an entrepreneur is, then they might get discouraged and think, oh, well, I can't be an entrepreneur. But based on my definition, anyone can be an entrepreneur. And I'm going to give you my definition twice so you understand it. All right. An entrepreneur is basically anyone who creates an income earning opportunity for themselves. All right. So anyone who creates an income earning opportunity for themselves. Now, in my classification, that makes musicians entrepreneurs, because guess what? They play music, they get paid. All right. Musicians, artists, singers, they're selling their talent and they're getting income. So they created an income earning opportunity. Comedians, same thing. When you go to the comedy house, guess what? You're paying for jokes. So guess what? They created an income earning opportunity for themselves. Even athletes, guess what? They work out, they train their body, and then they market it to a team. And the team cuts them a really big check. Guess what? That's entrepreneurship. They created an income earning opportunity for themselves. Authors, guess what? They write a book. A book is a product. So they write a book, an ebook, a course, a workbook, a journal. That's a product. So guess what? They created an income earning opportunity for themselves. So with my definition, even the average Joe, the average person that works a 9 to 5 can take either their time, talent, energy, looks, experience, trade, and turn that into an income earning opportunity. So I basically expanded the definition. Anyone can be an entrepreneur. So that is one of, now we'll add to that. Now, when entrepreneurs say that, what they really are saying is, yeah, based on my definition, anyone can be an entrepreneur. Now, being a successful entrepreneur, that's where it gets technical, because you might want to learn a little bit about sales and marketing, promotions, advertising, social media, communication, customer service. You definitely better transfer work ethic. So if you was a hardworking employee, you need to transfer that energy plus some more and be a hardworking entrepreneur in order to be successful. So just say anytime being that I grew up doing chores, I always had really good work ethic, all right, really good confidence. I understood how to communicate with people. So I transferred that into entrepreneurship, and I would do something with launching new ventures. I might work 21 hours straight, like when I was running my cleaning business, because now, understand, I was working my businesses in the field, so I wasn't the boss, because I don't believe in, boss. That's kind of a negative side of an entrepreneur. I'm more of a leader, so I lead by example. So in the field, stripping and waxing floors at major Fortune 500 companies like Food Lion, Bi-Lo, Office Depot, PetSmart, I was hands-on, like I was the best floor guy. Same thing at the tire shop. Okay, once I learned the equipment, now I'm the best tire changer. In the sense where you couldn't tell who was the owner or who was the employee, because I was working hands-on in the field, and that's just how I've always been. Now, I do credit, like I said, I had 2 military fathers, 2 disciplinaries. My mom was a disciplinary. She believed in the chores. And then I also joined the military myself. I actually joined August 2001, the month before 9/11. I flew out to basic training in October, the month after 9/11. Worked really hard, got through basic training, got out, and decided that the military has too many bosses. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to be in, I need to be in leadership. So I literally went from private PFC to second lieutenant in 18 months by entering the officer candidate school, in which I actually was the youngest officer candidate to graduate in the program's history. I was 23, graduated from officer candidate school. And it was because I just decided to do it. I was like, hey, if I'm going to do something, I don't want to be at the bottom of the totem pole. All right. So, all right. Let me touch a little bit more on self-employed. Now, as a self-employed business owner, I actually work 85% of the time. So just say with my janitorial company, I worked 85% of the time, whether it was the janitorial services, carpet cleaning, stripping and waxing floors. I traveled to strip and wax floors. So I might travel 2 hours, work 15 hours, travel, back. So I've pulled plenty of 21-hour days, some 24-hour days. Like I have a cousin. He has really good work ethic. It would be me and him and maybe 2 other people. My siblings, they're really hard workers. They've done jobs with me. Then once I learned the automation, which is taught in Rich Dad Poor Dad, the evolution from self-employed to employee, which I'll explain in the next quadrant. Then I flipped it, and I was basically working 15% of the time and making triple and quadruple the money because I started using my brain, in which this is the shirt I created. It's called Think. And the light bulb went off. The light bulb went off. Let me see if y'all can see this shirt. All right. So I created this shirt, but when I made my evolution from self-employed to business owner, the light bulb went off. And that basically kind of took me, to the next level, in which it was a really, really, really big jump. All right. Before I get into that, does anyone have any questions about the second quadrant, which is self-employed? Not yet? Okay, good deal. All right, so the next quadrant is actually the business owner. All right. Now, a lot of people, and for years, I ran several businesses. I did not know that it was a significant difference between self-employed and a business owner. I had no idea. All right. Now, to make it plain, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. I had a question regarding going into a business or being a business owner. There are certain things, and it depends according to where you live and what state.
Okay.
Of actually getting the right business licenses and getting yourself registered. So you just can't just jump into being a business owner. There are things you need to do.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's more of like the steps, like far as a business startup. Now, I was talking about entrepreneurship, because I just technically just say anybody can sell anything online and actually make money. Now, the legalities, you got to get a tax ID number, business. But see, I was talking strictly about entrepreneur. That's more of the business startup process.
Okay.
Yeah. So
that's like selling like cupcakes, right? Like you can put your cupcakes out there. And
you can go to a flea market. Guess what? If whatever you're selling, that makes you an entrepreneur because you created a income earning opportunity, right? So now the technicalities of doing a business startup, that's when you go into tax ID number. You talk about legal structure. You talk about bank account. You talk about insurance. So that's the technical side, which is really easy. Business license here in South Carolina is $45. Like it's literally 2 pages. Like it's not rocket science. Like you can fill it out, home address, or a PO box, or a suite address, email, name of the company, tax ID number, or social security number. Then you take your business license to the bank. You open a business bank account. If you're a sole proprietor, you use your tax ID number or your social security number. If you're an LLC, then you present your LLC document. If you're a partnership, you present your business license and your partnership document. All right, depending on what business you're in, if you need insurance, you get either general liability, workers' comp, auto insurance. Like to me, that's still easy. That's too easy. Like I walk people through that process where some business coaches might take them a 6-month journey. I walk people through in 1 day. Next week they're getting contracts. Like that's what I do as a business coach. I simplify the process. I don't, like I said, I give the meat and potatoes. I don't make it no hard, and I actually make it very simple because I'm a Virgo. I'm analytical. I done it so many times. I just break it down and make it easy. Like my business, like I wrote my first business plan in 2002 as a sophomore at Carolina. That same business plan launched 11 businesses. Out of the 11, 6 of them were 6 figures. 3 of them was 5 figures. 2 of them I say were learning experiences. But I've made money doing even more things outside of that I just don't even give credit to. And I use a really simple business plan format, the same thing that the military uses to write op orders. I use 5 W's, 1 H. Who, what, when, where, why, how. And that covers my financial plan, my marketing plan, vision statement, mission statement, my break-even analysis, SWOT analysis, everything. So I actually teach a session, and I just make it easy for people. All right, any more questions? Any more questions before I go to the business owner quadrant? All right. So can y'all still hear me? Miss Tamara?
Yes.
Okay, good deal. All right. Any more questions before I move on? Okay, good deal. All right. So the next quadrant is actually the business owner one. All right. Now, based on Robert Kiyosaki's book, he says business owners create systems. And like I said, initially, we would say a blue collar entrepreneur, meaning I didn't mind getting dirty. I didn't mind working. I didn't mind outworking whoever the hardest worker on my team was. All right. Now, that is the analog model. All right. So if you look at, we're in a digital era, right? And when I tell people we're in a digital era, look at the fact that Jet Magazine, Ebony Magazine, and Black Enterprise are all digital magazines now. So you don't hardly see them in hard copy because John Johnson, Earl Graves, the founders, they saw years ago that we were transitioning into a digital era. I also saw the same thing being a visionary when I bought my first ebook in 2002. It was called richjerk.com. All right, this guy made $9 million a year off of a digital product. $9 million. I bought the ebook. I think I subscribed to his membership. Probably was $9 a month. He made $9 million off of probably a $20 product. So automatically then I started thinking, all right, I'm probably doing things the old-fashioned way. Now, I wasn't really a tech-savvy guy because since I was running multiple businesses in college, the one class that I wish I would have took that I actually paid somebody to go for me because I was running multiple businesses, and I don't advise the youth to do this. This is my life, my truth, my route. So I paid somebody to go to computer science class for me, and it's been costing me ever since. I've paid thousands of dollars a year for graphic design and web development, logos. And I'm like, well, that one class I wish I would have took because I paid, a few people to go to class for me. Now, one guy ended up becoming a lawyer, so it worked out. But the one class I would have took over is probably Spanish and French because at one point I took both at two different schools. I was actually enrolled in the HBCU and the university at the same time because I wanted to pledge at the time. It didn't work out. It's cool. But I took French and Spanish, and I kind of confused myself. So the two classes I probably would have took that I didn't really take serious was probably Spanish and maybe computer science. All right. So in the business ownership quadrant, business owners build systems. And now a system can be an automated website. It can be an automated business. But I'll explain to you the evolution of going from self-employed to a business owner. All right. Now, if you look at it in terms of a hair salon, perfect example, and you can use a barbershop or a hair salon. All right. Just say in a hair salon, you got hairstylists. All right. So say you got 4 hairstylists paying $100 a week. All right. The hairstylists themselves are self-employed because guess what? If they don't do hair, they don't get paid. So remember, like how we said, self-employed, flip the word around, employed, self. So if they don't do hair, they don't get paid, self-employed. All right. And they pay booth rent to the business owner, who is the salon owner, because she owns the lease or he or she pays the lease. So the 4 hairstylists that's paying $100 a week pay her. So, all right. So whether she does hair or not, she's going to get 400 times 4 weeks, which is $1,600. All right. So that means if she doesn't do any hair, she's going to make $1,600. That's the easiest way to understand whether you're self-employed or the business owner. If you can't show up each day or not and make money, you're self-employed. Because if you don't work, you don't eat. You don't work, you don't get money. The business owner has a system or automated setup to where they make money whether they go or not. So whether she go or not, she's gonna make $1,600. As long as they paying booth rent, she's gonna get $1,600. Now if she decides to do hair, she'll get her $1,600 plus whatever hair she does. So just say she got an additional $5,000 a month worth of clients. All right, so now she gets $1,600 plus $5,000. Then of course, when she does her break-even analysis, she'll subtract her rent and whatever liabilities she have. But $1,600 to not do anything, that's pretty good. Now I'll take it a step further. I even tell aspiring entrepreneurs, current entrepreneurs, that setups like that, because I actually used to own a barbershop. Like I actually me and my cousin gave it away to somebody that had a bigger dream for it, because we just owned it and just paid rent. We was too busy to set it up or whatnot. But I tell people there are actually entities, like different businesses like hair salons, barbershops, where it's better than real estate. And I'll tell you why. And this is for an immediate return, not, when you factor in equity and being able to borrow against the land, and, land is a real asset. And I really believe in land, but just say real estate in general. So I just say, if you're comparing a rental home, whereas I just say you might got a $400 to $600 mortgage, and like in South Carolina, it's cheaper. So these numbers are based on South Carolina numbers. So I just say the mortgage is less than $600. Then you charge a tenant $1,000. All right. So you're only making $400 for the liabilities. And I'll say liabilities meaning, all right, if something happens to the roof, you got to pay for it as the owner. All right. Termites get into the house, it's over. Like you can't really, challenge nature, whether it's a hurricane, a storm, a flood. Like those would be liabilities of home ownership. All right. In which, like I said, I do believe in home ownership. I'm just comparing the two home ownership or rental properties versus just say you open a hair salon or a barbershop. All right. So for $400, you're assuming, some major liabilities versus, all right, you rent a building. Just say you rent 2,000 square feet. Just say you get 4 to 8 different barbers in there paying, on average, it's going to be between 100 and 150 a week. So you look at a $400 profit from a house, liabilities, credit on the line, versus a barbershop where you just pay one landlord the rent, or you buy the property and then set up the barbershop, because that would be smart, buy the commercial property and then set up the barbershop, rent out the booths, because you don't have to technically run it. You just hire somebody to manage it. Like you don't even have to have a barber's license to own a shop. Like I said, I own the shop. I'm not a licensed barber. But you have licensed barbers in there. All right. So just say you got 4 guys paying you $100 a week. Same thing. So all right, $1,600. Say you get the mortgage on the building, the rent might be $500. So your profit is going to be $1,100 versus a rental property, $400 is going to be the max. And then that's not all you can do with that barbershop. So all right, you can get booth rent off the barbers or the hairstylists. You can add vending machines in there. So now that goes up. It's so much more you can do it. You can wash cars on the outside. You could sell food on the outside. You can set up a catering company. So it's like you would have a built-in market to where you can make $1,000 to $5,000-$6,000 a month versus rental property $400. Now I throw out things like that because I'm more of a strategic thinker. So just say, all right, my first tire shop, I was my rent was $1,880 a month. All right, rent was $1,880. Payroll was about 2,000 something. I had like one full-time employee and one part-time, and then my inventory probably was another 2,000. So I had about $6,000 worth of bills out of one shop, and I had 3 bays. So me thinking strategically, I was like, okay, I don't want to start the month off negative 6,000, because see, when you understand your break-even analysis, you start like especially when you got buildings that you rent. You don't start at 0. You actually start negative the rent, negative the payroll, negative the insurance, negative whatever. And then break even is, all right, once those negatives reach 0, and then on top of that, it's a profit, all right? So what I did was, being strategic, I rented out one of the bays for $750 a month. So that automatically almost cut my rent in half. All right, and the mechanic actually stayed with us about 3 years. So just that one move cut the rent in half. All right, $750 minus $1,880. All right, and then as a year went by and I kind of learned a little more about the business, I was like, okay, well, I got a really good prime real estate area. So let me rent out some more real estate. All right. When I bought it, it actually had a car wash on the side, or a hand car wash. All right. Nobody was using it. So I was like, okay, let me rent out the car wash. All right. So that knocked off another $450. Just renting out the car wash. Hey, look, if you got your own car detailing, you come set up, we'll provide the equipment. You bring your own equipment, water's included. You just pay $450 a month. So now I got the $750 from the mechanic, the $450 from the car wash, and then I still was thinking like, okay, wouldn't it be cool to not have any rent? So to eliminate the whole 1880. So what I did then was say, all right, well, let me help somebody launch some catering businesses. So what I did was I bought a tent, bought a little vending booth table, bought a propane cooker, and I said, all right, if you want to start, I ran an ad. I was like, look, you want to start your own catering business? You come set up. It's $25. If you bring your own equipment, it's $40 if you use our equipment. So guess what? I was getting $25 to $40 a day from a vendor every day, and they would just set up right outside the car wash. They would cook fish and fries, fish and chips. We had a guy doing Taco Tuesday, and they would make really good money, anywhere between 180 to 300 plus in about 4 to 6 hours. So I was able to help launch at minimum 10 different catering services. We have food trucks. They set up out there. Guess what? I rented the space. All right. They bought their food truck and all their equipment. So I just let them get it for like $25. All right, but if you look at the totality of that, you look at $40 a day times, and we was open sometimes 7 days a week. So let's just do 40 times 30. That's $1,200. So guess what? My rent evaporated, and it was because I strategically thought like nobody else was thinking, and I eliminated the rent. So I basically created my own system. All right. Do we have any questions for that quadrant? Any questions? All right. So moving on into the last. Oh, now let me add to that one. All right. When I learned the difference, between self-employed and employee, self-employed and a business owner, I applied it to my cleaning company too. So I just say my cleaning company went from earning $9,000 a month to well over $23,000 a month. All right. I went from maybe 4 employees to about 26 employees. All right. And I was instead of me working 85% of the time, like I was in the self-employment quadrant, I was working 15% of the time. And sometimes not even at all. Like I literally was making about $400 to $600 a day, and sometimes more, just hanging out in my condo, switching up cars, because at that point I had 5 cars, or 2 cars, 2 vans, and a truck. I also got to visit my family often, got to visit my grandparents, got to see my kids. I got to do whatever I wanted to do. I went to the beach randomly during the week, just whatever I wanted to do. But that's the advantage of being a business owner, is you can make money without actually running the business. Now, I put that time into, just say versus labor work, I basically just transferred that time and energy into sales and marketing. So even though I was at my condo, work for me was, I opened my laptop and I would find contracts. And then since I already had people in place to work them, I just offered them more work. And now, being that I am pro entrepreneurship, I created situations to where even my employees were business owners. Because what I did was I considered them, or we did the paperwork for 1099 subcontracting. That way they could take advantage of the tax benefits. So only thing I had to do, similar to what the young lady asked early, was about like the business license, this and that. So what I did was, by classifying them as independent contractors, they got their business license, bank account, and guess what? Now they could take advantage of all the benefits. They can write off their gas, they can write off percentage of their cell phones, percentage of their mortgage, just a whole lot of stuff. So I basically made it to where I didn't really have employees. I had 1099 subcontractors, and that way they could take advantage of those benefits or whatnot. All right. So I'm going to move on to the last quadrant, which is the investor quadrant. All right. Now, with investors, they basically look at residuals, low risk, no labor. All right. Now, being that I come from a family of hard workers, investor, just say the most that I would elaborate on the investor quadrant is that, like I said, you can build residuals, low risk, no labor. All right. Now, just say as a limited liability company owner, I set up a SEP IRA. So I never was really big into investing in stocks and mutual funds. Well, not the stock market, because I did at an early age have mutual funds, no load mutual funds. Like I listened to a lot of Susie Orman, like at 21, 22. So like I had a trust, a no load mutual funds, international stock. But I mainly let them do it. So I wasn't like a day trader. I would just buy the products and let them do it. I had a SEP IRA, which is equivalent to a 401k, but for self-employed. I had, all the different type of insurance to, make sure my business was covered. But like investors basically they would say a step up from business owners, but just say, if I had to challenge Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, I would say it would depend. Now, an investor like Warren Buffett, where you can buy 400 million, Coca-Cola stocks or something like that, yeah, okay, you're an investor. But if I was to look at what some investors get versus what I got as a business owner, I would take the risk as a business owner, meaning, okay, I don't mind the labor. I don't mind getting dirty. So if I'm just going to make pennies and not get dirty versus make hundreds of thousands getting dirty, I'll probably be in the field. All right. But for some people, investor opportunities work. Now, I've invested in people, in businesses where I made residual returns. And I think that's kind of what well, aside from stocks, that's what he's saying is, all right, I'll invest in your project and then I'll sit back and then I'll get a return on my investment, which they call the ROI. Now, in saying that, you also invest in the risk too. Because even with stock markets, guess what? Stock markets can crash. Bad news can result in really low wages or returns. If you invest in a business project, it can fail, because it'll depend on the entrepreneur you're investing in. So like Nas said, and Nas the rapper, he's a really big tech investor. With Nas, you got MC Hammer, which is an icon. Like I grew up listening to MC Hammer, really influential, iconic visionary. And then you also have a rapper called Chameleonaire. They're really big and investing in tech stocks. So just say investors, matter of fact, Nas made, I want to say $40 million last year investing in tech companies. So yeah, I am getting it more into investing, but just say for immediate returns, where I can kind of halfway control the situation, I still lean more towards business ownership. So I'd rather set a business up, automate it, get the money, influence the increases, and basically, be prepared to do the work and take risks along with the entrepreneurs that I'm either partnering with or investing in. All right. That concludes what I have to cover as far as the cash flow quadrant. At this point, I'm going to open it up to any questions, and Ms. Tamara can help me with that.
Absolutely. That was excellent. Thank you so much. Let me see. I'm going to add everybody on, so we should be able to see everyone now. We do have one question waiting, and if anyone else, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and I don't want to like everyone talk at once, but you can go ahead and unmute yourself, ask your question, or use the chat box, please. But Carrie has a question. She says, where do you start to make sure your contractors are documented properly to be hired as a contractor? Will it be a payroll option where they get paid through their TIN instead of their social security number?
Now that's where it gets technical. Like just say I'm not a CPA or a bookkeeper. Now, at one point I did use ADP for my payroll services, but I mean, you can download the documents from IRS.gov, and it's just, you know, if they're 1099, you get a W-9. If they're W-4, then you just get the proper documents for whatever classifications. Because now when it comes to the IRS and then even some insurances, you know, they kind of look at, all right, certain standards to say, all right, employee or 1099. So I can't really answer that question, being that I'm not a CPA. So I would refer back to like your CPA or bookkeeper, as far as to make sure you're in compliance with, you know, with the IRS and the law, you know, based on what you're doing.
Okay. Well, one thing I want to say, because while the questions come in, I see we have Sarah, I see your question, but I just want to make a comment, I guess. It seems like, well, really the bulk of everything that you're talking about, a lot of it, in order for us to be able to really understand, or those that are watching, listening, everyone's going to watch the replay, to be able to understand it and to receive it, a lot of it starts with just a whole shift in mindset, I would say. You know what I mean?
It's a mindset, because like you said, most people, and so you see an influx of solo entrepreneurs, but if they knew what I knew, then they would be into team building, and I'll give you another example. All right, the same system that Avon and Mary Kay used, all right, a black woman created it. Madam C.J. Walker, which I'm doing a play on her, but she had a mentor that actually taught her the system, which was a black woman. All right, and basically the idea, like you said, is a mindset shift. Is you rather make 10% off of 100 people's efforts than 100% of your own efforts. Because guess what? At 100%, all right, just say if I'm doing 100% of the work, I'm maxed out. I can't make any more moves. But if I'm getting 10% of 100 other people's efforts, then that would be like a network marketing system. Meaning, okay, I'm the manufacturer, all right, and then I got all these distributors buying from me, and then they're selling. So it's like, as they're selling, my income is just growing. So I basically took that same system and automated physical businesses. So people that don't understand that, I don't like knock them, but I really try to say, look, solo entrepreneurs, you got to level up, because you're gonna, all right, if you're the payroll department, the HR department, the sales and marketing team, the publicist, like just think about all those different hats you're wearing. So you're not going to be 100% in any field because you're spread too thin. Versus, okay, let me hire a subcontractor to do my logos, or you find an automated system. All right, let me hire a sales team. All right, your sales are going to increase because they're going to do exactly what you pay them to do. So if you look at the bigger companies, and this is the biggest thing, solo entrepreneurs are attempting to do something that no other Fortune 500 company is doing. Think about any job you ever work. They're going to have an HR department. They're going to have a sales and marketing department. They're going to have all these different departments. They're going to have a GM. They're going to have a manager, supervisor, team leader. So it's like they get it. And I kind of read an article in my early 20s. This is really successful real estate entrepreneur here in Columbia, Russell and Jeffcoat. He was running eight businesses. Somebody asked him, what are some of the things that allow you to do that? He said, developing people. So, and it's like, I learned delegation in the Army. That's why you got sergeants, first sergeants, major. So any successful system, guess what? They're not solo. They have a team. Even if you look at people like Mayweather, he got a trainer, he got a promotions guy. Like, everybody has a team. So solopreneurs are basically like misinformed superheroes. It's like, hey, Batman, what you would do a lot more with Robin or Catwoman. You see what I'm saying?
That's good. I like it. That's funny.
So you, yeah.
That's a good point. I love that.
Yeah.
So collaboration is king. And
teamwork makes
the whole idea of developing people. Yes, that's good, because I've implemented that, and I learned that the hard way, because I know what it feels like to work till you can't, just to complete your capacity. Yeah, you max yourself out and you're like, well, now what? You know, because I still have all these other things I want to do, and now you feel stuck. So what's the difference? That feeling, what's the difference between that feeling than that same feeling when you're sitting in an office or in a plant or wherever waiting for your check every 2 weeks? It's the same feeling. You still feel like you can't be creative. You feel like you can't make the moves you want to make, you know?
And a lot of people get stuck on that level. They're self-employed, meaning they're just a step up from job, but you employ it yourself. So yeah, it's better than being an employee, but like you said, you're stuck because you can't really maneuver. Like you're too tired after working to think, so you can't create any digital products. You ain't gonna be motivated to do sales and
So there, I want to challenge it. So is it always better than being an employee? Because sometimes when employees, some people go back. That's why they try this self-employment thing and they get maxed out and they get all stressed out. And it's like, you know what? I was doing better. I was making the same.
A lot of people get discouraged. You're right.
Yeah, I got to every day at 5 and I can go get my whatever, go eat, go to the movies and hang out. Self-employment, I'm making the same 60 and I don't sleep. I can't eat. I'm overwhelmed. I haven't seen my family, you know? So
you're absolutely right. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. It's like, okay, now, like I said, I personally probably was just being that I actually got CEO tatted on my arm. So to remind myself, look, no work, like work for you, do your own thing. But yeah, in some cases, if it's not really a passion, like far as the freedom, flexibility, family time, and then you're overwhelmed with the pressures of running your business, it can be discouraging.
It can be.
That's why I try to get people.
You don't connect, and you get to the point where you realize that you have to level up, and you don't know what steps to take to level. Because some of us are limited by what we know, and we don't reach out to to leverage other people's expertise, which is exactly what you're saying. You're limiting yourself, by not putting the experts in place and leveraging relationships and creating collaborations and just kind of expanding strategically.
You're right. Now, I actually, and I bought it years ago or had the concept, but I just bought fireyourbossman.com. So it's basically a concept where I actually teach people how to fire their boss, in which I've done it 3 times. Well, actually 5. I've done it 3 times on with employers, and then I was boss 4 and 5. So I fired myself from my own businesses to basically recalibrate my dreams and focus on what I'm doing now. So I fired myself from my cleaning company in 2016, and then my tire shop just recently.
That's awesome. Yeah. I love it. So Rosalind's like, hey, Columbia in the house.
Oh yeah. Hey, how you doing?
And Melissa is dropping stuff. She says teamwork makes dream work. I love it. You've created a job in your business. Yeah, right. That's what I was saying, Melissa. And then Tara has a question. She says, what 2 business books would you recommend outside of Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Definitely Think and Grow Rich. Now, there's 2 versions to it. You got Napoleon Hill's version, and then you also got Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, really brilliant guy. Napoleon Hill reached out to him to write the Black version of Think and Grow Rich. So that's a really good book. Earl Graves has a really good book called How to Succeed in Business Without Being Without Being White. I read that in college. That was a really good book. You have a book called Launch, like if you're into like launches, like pre-launching strategies and stuff like that. I got a book actually right here called Radical Visionaries. And it actually includes pretty much all the major Fortune 500 company CEOs and founders, from John Johnson to the founder of Mary Kay to whoever you can name. Like they're probably in this book. So yeah, those would probably be my top recommendations, and at least until I've start publishing a lot, because right now I have about 10 unpublished ebooks. I got a children's self-help book on Amazon called No Training Wheels, and then I have like a few courses. So just say, as an author, I actually made an evolution from writing ebooks and regular books to creating courses, because see, people just say philosophies and ideologies don't push people to action. So courses are, all right, step 1, step 2, step 3, or module 1, module 2, module 3. So I actually create courses now. So I got courses on how to start a cleaning business, event planning company, any business I've started, I got a course on how to do it now.
That's awesome. Melissa wants to know, what was the last book?
This it's called Radicals and Visionaries. Let me see who's the author, but it's Radicals and Visionaries. It's Thetis. I'll just put it right. Can you see it?
Let
Can
me
you see the author's name?
We can see it.
Okay.
Melissa,
no,
you got it?
Yeah, this guy. I mean, it got everybody in it. And like I said, I read this early on in college, and I still refer back to it just because it's kind of inspiring to see how other people started and like the challenges they faced, and it just kind of gives you more encouragement. Now, I would recommend to all entrepreneurs listen to Eric Thomas, Les Brown probably daily, and I've been doing that for years. Les Brown, Eric Thomas, Earl Nightingale, Tony Robbins, Jim Rohn, really great, Zig Ziglar. So I'm a connoisseur of information. Like I watch everything. So whichever method you learn best, whether it's audio, video, or hands-on, just do more of that. And then apply it. Because knowledge itself is not power. Knowledge applied is power. Because there's a lot of people walking around here with MBAs, but they don't apply it. So while they were doing 2 and 4 years extra in school, I was in the field actually learning and applying. So that's what makes me the business coach I am, is because I didn't weight it based on a certification. I actually have the hands-on experience.
That's good stuff. So, Joy, I see you unmuted yourself. Are you there? Did you have a question? Does anybody else have a question?
Yes. Hello.
Hey,
First of all, I would like.
I think it muted.
Oh, Joy, I think you muted yourself. Hold on. There you are.
Okay, is that better? First of all, I would like to say to.
Oh, I think. Hold on, Joy. I'll do it. Hold on.
Again.
Wait. Okay. Don't touch it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not touching anything.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, first of all, that I would like to commend the young man, because I am a baby boomer nana.
Okay.
And I am part of this community of learning, because I want my grandchildren to take hold of this early in life.
Yes.
Because my belief is if they can learn all the rap songs and all these other things, that they can learn wealth creation as well.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to commend you, young man, and I wanted to find out, do you consult? Do you do?
Yes, ma'am. I do coaching and consulting. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. So are you going to drop your information or your link, or leave it?
Yes, ma'am. I didn't know if it was permissible, but yes, ma'am. Now my website is Tim the Motivator, just TimTheMotivator.com. And I have a lot of information on there. Now I'm very active on Facebook, so I share probably like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of free value every day. And my Facebook link is just say facebook.com and then /Timbo, which is my country nickname, Timbo.
I like you keeping it real. All right, country boy.
Oh, yeah. Yes, man. I'm definitely a country boy. So it's going to be Timbo, Timbo, Black, BLACK, and then Sun, SUN.
Oh, SU. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to be with us, and wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
Keep doing what you're doing. Wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. I'm finally doing, like I said, the businesses I started before was for profit. Now I'm doing what I'm passionate about. So I actually like helping other people.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll reach out to you later, because myself and my granddaughter, we are founders and visionaries of a community forum, which is actually a movement now.
I like that. I like that. Yes, ma'am. Definitely. I mean, I would love to, like I said, I'm trying to basically get on more platforms to share information. So, speaking engagements, whether it's podcasts, online, offline, like I'm, basically trying to build that platform.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
Good stuff.
All right. Appreciate it.
All right. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments? before we prepare to close out tonight's training? And Tim, while they're thinking about whether or not they want to come forward with anything, and not be shy, guys, come on. Now just tell us how we can get in touch with you. I know you said your website, and just give me an idea of what the other services that you offer, and just let everybody know that's going to be watching. And just so you know, when we do upload this into the portal, I do put all your contact information as well.
Okay. So, all right. Like I said, my website is timthemotivator.com. So just TIMTHEMOTIVATOR.com. And it has a lot of information on there. It basically lists all like the coaching and consulting services. My youth development website is juniorceoacademy.com. Just JRCEO and then academy.com. On Facebook, I'm very accessible at facebook.com/TIMBO Timbo Black Sun BLACKSUN. My email address is timthemotivator@gmail.com. My business and personal cell phone, because I usually put it on flyers because I just like to be accessible, is 803-261-5948. And I'm still a workaholic, so I'm usually working 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., sometimes later, because that's what I enjoy doing. And then I have I'll update the information as I set up sites, but I got a website called fireyourbossman.com. On that, I'm going to have a lot of how-to ebooks, courses, just digital downloads, T-shirts, and just different things to help entrepreneurs make the transition. Now, as far as coaching services, I do, business startups. I help existing businesses level up. The main thing is teaching them how to go from self-employed to business owner. And I actually got a service called Level Up. I also do Fire Your Boss Man plans. So just say if you're an entrepreneur and you work a job, I can literally write you a plan, write you off your job, and it'll include like your 401k rollover, your benefits, because a lot of people don't understand any benefit. Because remember, a job is a job to you, but it's actually somebody else's business or corporation. So any benefit they have, you can also get for yourself. You can get your own dental insurance, health insurance. You can get equivalent to a 401k, which is called a SEP IRA. You can even get disability, like you can get everything. So I help people basically write themselves off of their job, and that's called your Fire Your Boss Man plan. And like I said, I do youth, teen, and adult coaching and consulting, just in entrepreneurship across the board.
Good stuff. Awesome. Yes, Melissa. She said that's awesome. Everyone needs an exit plan before leaving their job.
Oh, yeah. Look, I told you I fired my boss 3 times, like from a job. I
love it. V, I see that you unmuted yourself. Did you have a question? V, is that you or Gabby?
No.
Okay, no question, V? She's like, nope, I'm just here. All right, cool. So, Tim, I think it's a wrap. I don't see any other questions. I really want to say thank you so much for hanging out. I know you're super busy, workaholic or not. Your time is time. We just talked about all those extra zeros and what the value of your time is. So, so thank you so much for breaking it down, because I think what you broke down tonight, most people don't normally hear it as easy and plain and just kind of just like straightforward the way you explained it. And I think you gave a lot of people some things to think about. So I think the lack of questions is more of a like, oh shoot, wait a minute, I need to think. So for me, that's good enough, because that's what the society is all about, is connecting, getting the parents to start to think, getting their mindset, in the right place. So that way, not only can we level up as adults in our parenting, our lifestyle, and everything that we're doing, but we want to just be the best that we can be, so that we can be the best that we can for our children as they level up and become change makers.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much again for your time tonight, and I'll see you all in the society group. Have a great night, everyone.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.